The Women's Champions League has a new champ, and it's Barcelona as they destroy Chelsea. An amazing victory, the first time for a Spanish side, as well as now Barcelona becomes the first club to win the Champions League, both men and women. We have Jimmy Conrad, Heath, Pearce to break down this. The FA Cup, as Leicester City also become first-time FA Cup winners. We have races in La Liga, Serie A, the Bundesliga, and Alisson Becker really steals the headlines for Liverpool. Qué Golazo weekend recap right now. Everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo, our weekend recap. Jimmy Conrad, Heath, Pearce. Hey, guess what? The Women's Champions League final. We have a brand new champ for the first time in their history. Barcelona Femeni. Barcelona women win it 4-0 against Chelsea. Absolutely amazing. A great victory. Jimmy Conrad, initial thoughts straight away as Barcelona really honestly destroyed Chelsea.
Well, big felicidades to Barcelona, who became the first club ever to win both the men's and women's Champions League. So that is a big deal. And I thought these women were fantastic. When we look at all the goals, first one was an own goal from Chelsea. Very unlucky by Fran Kirby to hit it off her player and go in. Tidy finish, though. The one for me, second one wasn't a penalty. Third goal was pretty good, but I thought, from a defensive perspective, Chelsea probably could have done a little bit better. The fourth one, it looked like Chelsea pretty much gave up. And those were all in the first half, everybody. I mean,
it's crazy.
I'll say this. I'm a firm believer that you create your own luck, and Barcelona came out with the right attitude and mentality. They were on the front foot the whole time. They were dictating the terms. Chelsea did have a chance right after they were down 1-0. Pernille Harder had a sitter. She should finish, especially given her quality. She had another chance that maybe she could have done better with. If they get it to 1-1, I think Chelsea settles a little bit. I don't think the game is maybe as big of a gap between the two sides. But there was only, looking at it now, 4-0, only one team showed up and was ready to play, and the other one would just look like they had something to lose and looked a little scared, to be honest.
Yep, they went at 200 miles an hour, Barcelona, and did not slow down. And Chelsea were like, what is this truck coming at me? It was kind of amazing. Heath, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, anytime you have a final, a lot of that, or any sort of big game, you immediately go in and you're trying to feel it out, right? You don't want to make mistakes. You're trying to settle in. You're trying to get your team into a rhythm. By the way, I know Jimmy watched the game because the way he said Pernille Harder's name was Harder, and that's how the commentator kept saying it. So I know he picked up that hard.
Was that right or wrong? I went on CBS HQ and I'm like, is it Harder or is it Harder? I was like, I'm trusting that guy now. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to say it like this. But I actually don't even know.
As
Neil, if you're listening, we would love to know. Yeah.
Yeah. As a former resident Dane, I should know the answer to that. I don't think it's Harder.
No, that feels French.
Yeah. I think that's wrong, but that was a quiz. That was like a quiz to know if you watched the game or not. And the way that you said that was like, makes a lot of sense.
Well, it's going to be harder and harder to find out.
There we go. From downtown.
But as Jimmy said, Heath, though, all the goals came in the first half. I mean, Chelsea did try things in the second, but Barcelona held resilient. This is just a good testament because, to be honest with you, and I know Jimmy agrees, we thought Chelsea were going to win this. They just look confident. I think arguably the WSL is a stronger. I mean, Barcelona undefeated the entire season, just amazing team. But we thought just because of the overall diversity and competition for Chelsea, you thought, and the team that they have. I mean, it's not just Frank Kirby, Pernille. We talk Sam Kerr, of course. This is Emma Hayes, arguably one of the best managers anywhere, men or women. And you thought, but here comes Barcelona, and they go all out, and much more respect, I guess, much more noise should have been paid attention to Barcelona.
Yeah, and did Jennifer Hermoso score today?
She set up the penalty
because
she did not score. She did not score. She set it up. Yeah, she had the assist for the pen, but she did not score.
Because I believe Fran Kirby and her were both on 6 for the Golden Boot race as well.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm not sure. I think Fran. I'm not sure if there's a tie or if there was less matches played that gives.
No, Melanie Leuput scored was the own goal. Then Putea scored the penalty. Then Bonmanti, and then Caroline Graham Hansen scored the fourth.
Wait. Why would you give the penalty to Hermoso? Just let her get the Golden Boot.
I know. Well,
that's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's true, right? It's true, but it didn't.
Maybe she was top. I don't know. Yeah, because they would have been playing. But Jimmy, what's crazy is that you said that this was the first time that a men's and a women's team had won the Champions League, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So Chelsea would have been the first time that a men's and a women's team would have won the Champions League.
That's right. Whoever won.
Back to the drawing board, which that sucks.
Could be a rough ending of a season for Chelsea on the both men and women's side, even though the women have already won the League Cup and the league. So I guess they're already feeling pretty good. And they have a chance to win the FA Cup. So they could win a domestic treble.
And when you look at the WSL, it is a stronger league generally. I think the Spanish league is getting stronger and stronger. They're adding more teams, but really a lot of the global stars you are household names on Chelsea, right? You get them from across the board. They pull in more and better players every single year. Yeah. So on paper, you look at it and you go, hey, I think they've obviously got the edge. Barcelona have been in incredible form for the entire year, and you couldn't write them off. But when you look at, in the same way that we look at any game, you look at on paper, and on paper means nothing at the end of it, but you naturally had to lean towards Chelsea in a game like this in terms of some of those players and some of the big games that they've played in, both at the international and club level.
No, listen, I think it's important to remember just how good this season was for Barcelona. They played 37 games. They scored 161 goals. They only conceded 13. Okay, they won La Liga, they won the Champions League, and of all that, obviously alongside the men's side in Barcelona, they became the first Spanish side to win the Champions League. It's amazing. 161 goals and only conceded 13.
Listen, they had a plus 123 goal difference in La Liga. I went on HQ. I was like, who the hell is in La Liga with them? Who are they playing? Like the like an over 50 team. Like who's what is even happening? So that said, despite us kind of taking shots at any kind of competition they have domestically, they did the business. They beat Man City in the quarterfinals. They took care of PSG, who did very well to get past usually the champions of this competition, Lyon. Yeah. And then they ran over a Chelsea team that on paper, as you guys have said, should have won given the plethora of options that they have, especially on the attacking side of the ball. And this was without Barcelona's best defender, Andrea Pereira, who got 2 yellow cards, a yellow card. Yeah. So for them to do that, and I really thought that they exposed the weaknesses of Chelsea. I thought the outside backs for both on either side of the back line just weren't good enough today for Chelsea, and nobody really stepped up and made plays. And then they were just shell-shocked. Once they got down 2-0, they really didn't have any answers. That led to the 3rd and 4th goal, and then it was lights out.
Yeah, deer in the headlights situation. And by the way, it wasn't just that they went undefeated, 100% win ratio for Barcelona. Like that, this is
it's dumb.
Pretty ridiculous. Any final thoughts on this final before we move on? Heath, Pearce.
Yeah, I think only that this is their test, right? You look at the way that they dominate the domestic league, and this is just like you see with PSG and Liga. This is sort of like the next stage. They lost in 18-19 in the final, and this was their chance for redemption, and to show that they're not just dominant domestically, that they are the best club in Europe, and they without fail, dominated. Obviously, a few things went their way, but like Jimmy said, you create your own luck, and they ran away in the first half, and there was no turning back.
And I will just end it with this. Barcelona, we know the club so well because of how they're so proud of their culture, both from a technical standpoint to the way they train, La Masia, etc. Barcelona Femeni, to this moment, because Ronald Koeman's team is something different. It's more total football. This squad is more that reminds me of like those Johan Cruyff years, the Guardiola years, etc. Of course, there's an element to total football as well, but the tiki-taka perspective. And I think it's really great to see that that's still such a central part of what they represent. It's an amazing club, an amazing team.
Yeah, I'll just jump in and say that with Barcelona's winning this and capturing this title, the first Spanish side to ever do so, I really feel like that will motivate the clubs that maybe aren't as competitive in the feminine side of La Liga to start to invest in a proper way. Like, look at one of our clubs can do it. Let's start to put that money into it. Let's start to invest in our women, and hopefully that can help us capture some trophies as well, because you should take pride in any trophy that your club wins. And that will only going to fuel, right? Everything's going to elevate. WSL, right? And they're tired of seeing Lyon and PSG, win this or have a lot of success, or Wolfsburg. Everything's going to get elevated because of the visibility and the continued success of these players. And it's going to inspire the next generation as well. And so, again, I can't say it enough. I'm really proud to be a part of CBS and Paramount Plus for showing all these games and taking this sport and the feminine side of it, female side of it, as serious as they do. I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Poppy Miller and Ali Wagner, Sandra Herrera, and the entire team. So happy. So hopefully more to come. And by the way, there's more to come here on Qué Golazo, because guess what? a goalkeeper scored today, and even more amazing matches across Europe as they try and qualify for the Champions League, win the title, etc. Qué Golazo weekend recap. We'll be right back. It's PGA Championship week, and the First Cut has everything that you need. Join Rick Gaiman, Carl Porter, Mark Immelman live every single day for the 2021 PGA Championship at Clowa Island's famed Ocean Course just outside Charleston, South Carolina. From DFS previews to worthwhile wagers and even round-by-round recaps, the First Cut has it. Find the First Cut on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and even live on YouTube. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Qué Golazo. Our weekend recap continues. And all right, Heath, Pearce, we got to talk about this for a second. Alisson, 95th minute winner for Liverpool against West Brom. Just an amazing moment. Obviously, the winner, which keeps Liverpool in the race for the Champions League spot. But Alisson, if you don't know Alisson Becker, obviously, the number one starter for Liverpool, Brazilian starter as well. But, a few months ago, his father died in a tragic accident. He's just gone through so much. And you could see the emotion. It was not just about the winner, but everybody just going to congratulate him because of all that. And in the interview, he was saying how he wished his dad was around it was just amazing. Just your thoughts on overall, I guess the 3 points, but just that incredible moment as Alisson becomes, what is it? Brad Friedel, Tim Howard, Peter Schmeichel. I'm missing a few more, but he joins that exclusive list of goalkeepers in the Premier League scoring a goal.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think it's more than anything, Liverpool fans, right? We've shifted to City this year being sort of the talk because they've been so good. But when Liverpool set out to do what they did the last 2 years, Champions League and then the league, you felt that they were building a dynasty, right? They're like this thing that was going to go on and on and on. And Liverpool, who had suffered for so long without a league title, going back to 2005, a Champions League, like all of these things that were like, oh, we're a big club and kind of ignored for a long time. It just felt like there was this culmination of that moment with Alisson's goal where now they've got a shot at a Champions League spot. And now it just felt like this breath of relief where it was like, finally, a little bit of magic for us, a little bit of something special, a little bit of what makes Liverpool happen today. And you could see the look on his face. You could see the team. It was like this, almost like this air, just kind of like almost a disbelief, or they finally got over this gigantic hump where they felt like they've been swimming against the current. Obviously, they're still not there yet, but it felt like they've been swimming against the current for most of the year, right? Injuries, just a constant, just so many things to deal with. And then you add Alisson and what he's had to go through, and it's almost, you can't write this stuff. It's just a thing that makes you almost like it makes me love the game again when I start to look at certain things and you get to the end of the year and you're looking at top four and you're looking at things are starting to separate, and there's been so much, I don't know, weird negativity around the game and so much controversy recently with the Super League and whatever, that this is like the purest of moments from a big club. And I don't have much more to say than that other than it's just spectacular and it's amazing to see sort of all those storylines culminate into a moment like that. Yeah,
Jimmy, what do you think?
I have questions of West Brom's defending. That's where I'm going to start, everyone.
Let's go back to normality.
It was an amazing header.
Dude, okay, listen. I've scored a big header before in my life where I didn't have to jump. Alisson Becker didn't really have to jump either. He didn't actually even have to move. The guy's 6'3", West Brom. You might want to put a body on that guy. Nobody was picking him up.
I know, but
Jimmy, if you wait, Jimmy, Jimmy, it's they're a man up. They're a man up. They use the advantage. Oh, but also, in all seriousness, a goalkeeper comes up. Are you throwing one of your big center backs or center halves on him to getting like track Alisson? You go, look at this silly guy dressed funny coming in the box right now that's just going to end up getting counterattacked on.
Listen, I had guys like Kevin Hartman who couldn't head a ball to save their life coming up as goalkeepers, right? I mean, Alisson looks like he's a proper center back, So, somebody has to account for him, whether it's the striker or a little guy. Like, slow him down in some capacity. You can't let him have a free header.
No, fair point.
Listen. I don't want to take anything away from the incredible story.
Well, I think you just did, Jimmy.
What a hater! I'm
not. You had said everything there was to say. I'm backtracking a little bit. But I do have some questions. What's problems, Marky? That said, Liverpool, I thought, did more than enough to win that game. It's very exciting to see that they have a wonderful opportunity now to potentially pip Chelsea there for the 4th spot. Obviously, this Chelsea-Leicester game on Tuesday is going to be ridiculous. There's so much at stake for that one, especially after the FA Cup. I know we'll get into that in a sec. But Liverpool are there. They got Burnley away and Crystal Palace at home. If Chelsea drop any points, I think Liverpool win both of those, and then it's up to Chelsea at this point to see it out.
Yeah, it's all to play for everybody, because Liverpool in 5th, of course, as Jimmy mentioned, 1 spot behind Chelsea, and 2 games remaining, and it's very doable, but they just had to do it. But they did it, of course, in the most incredible of ways. All right, let's move to the FA Cup for a second, because we're talking about romantic moments. I mean, listen, obviously we'll talk about the game itself in a second, but again, Leicester City's owner, what happened to his family and everything, and then Peter Schmeichel walking over. Not Peter Schmeichel, Kasper Schmeichel. I'm too old, everybody. Kasper Schmeichel walking to Brendan Rodgers and them hugging. Another great moment for Leicester City. Their first ever FA Cup against Chelsea, and all of us, and you can't blame us. You definitely cannot blame me and Jimmy for thinking that it was going to be a Chelsea win. I mean, everything pointed in that direction, but Leicester City take it. Amazing. And it was amazing to see fans. So Jimmy, you get the mic for this. Thoughts on the FA Cup?
Yeah, first and foremost, shout out to Leicester, their first FA Cup trophy and in their 137-year history. And this is the 5th time they've been to a final, and they finally won it. They're shedding that Buffalo Bills tag, the New England Revolution tag, the nearly team. They finally got to the top of the mountain. And I feel like Yerli Tielemans scored a goal that was worthy of that moment, that was worthy of 20,000 fans being back in the stadium, was worthy of the magnitude and gravitas, let's say, of what was happening. And when we look at the possession, very one-sided to Chelsea. Most of the shots, Chelsea. None of them were really that dangerous. Timo Werner had a couple looks. I thought this was going to be his big opportunity to maybe quiet the haters a little bit if he could score in a cup final. Couldn't make it happen. And now we're on the precipice of Chelsea maybe not getting top 4, losing in the FA Cup final, and potentially losing in the Champions League final, and not having anything to show for their season. And that would be insane given how much hype we've given Thomas Tuchel since he's taken over. And he's deserved it, don't get me wrong. But he's had a tendency of getting to finals before. He's in the Champions League final last year with PSG and just not having enough to get across the finish line. And what's interesting, and I'll take one shot at him for his tactics. He put in Reece James back into center back and take Azpilicueta off. Yeah. And they switched they had Azpilicueta be the wing back and Reece James went in the center back. And the pass that Reece James tried to make from the center back position is what ended up leading to Tielemans scoring. And that's something that needs to be looked at, because I think he maybe didn't get his lineup right. And why didn't you start Christian Pulisic? The guy's awesome.
I knew you were going there. Heath, thoughts on the FA Cup final?
Yeah, I think Jimmy was spot on with Timo Werner. Going back to think about Timo Werner, he used to get a lot of chances, and he's not going to get a lot of chances in the Chelsea system, right? You're not going to get 11 chances and you can score 3 goals, or you're screaming up the channels and it's like this, counterattacking style that is wide open all the time, in the way that we see, a Dortmund or an RB Leipzig play. And so I just worry about his clinical finishing, because he did have a decent look, one that came off of his head that ended up on the back post that they, maybe could have gotten on the end of, but that was his chance to take and didn't. But Chelsea was obviously dominant, but those are the times where you actually don't really. Chelsea hasn't been dominant in a lot of games and they win them, right? That's been Chelsea, but then they were dominant in this one and weren't able to finish the game off. And for Leicester City, it's again, it continues to build this modern story of a Leicester City that, going back to winning a league title, has changed the course of their history forever, which is, again, another Cinderella story that has continued into this. And now we're talking about it being in Leicester City's hands, and they've got the trophy now, and it's in their hands to finish in the top 4. And they have Chelsea and Spurs to wrap up the year, which is going to be, quite
not easy.
But yeah, like Jimmy said, I was willing to go out on a limb and say that this is my manager of the year, Thomas Tuchel. If they finish the way that they had, they had all the cards in their hands, and now they could end up with none. And that would be a huge disappointment. And then we have to look at it and say, what is the progress made, right? Okay, take it all aside, you lose in a final. That's amazing. But when you lose in 2 finals, potentially, right? I'm not saying they will. They still get a chance to play, and they have great odds to still win that. When you lose in 2 finals and fall out of the top 4, you start to look at it and go, well, you kind of gave up. What you made it this far. If you would have said Lampard did all this, you would have been like, okay, cool. Like they dug out of something bad, but they've had all this momentum. It would be disappointing to see them end up with nothing to show for it.
No, absolutely right. Listen, the thing is, I'm not going to get too much into it. I think the most important part, is that Leicester City won their first ever FA Cup. And I think to Jimmy's point, and yours as well, Heath, is that I don't think Tuchel got his tactics right in this one, especially during the game as well. I think there were a few, to be honest, my initial analysis was going to be, listen, just take care of N'Golo Kante and you'll be fine. But there were so many other things that Leicester City exploited as the game went on. Obviously, there's that moment, the VAR moment, right? The non-VAR moment where, Chelsea perhaps were robbed there. But, in the end, Chelsea don't get the job done. And if you want to get the job done, you can't just rely on one single moment. You got to really take advantage, regardless of a worldie like Tielemans' goal.
Yeah, I would jump in and just say that I thought that VAR was a bit harsh on that one. It gets really close. We're talking millimeters. And I think if it comes down to millimeters, it should go in favor of the attacker. Even as a center back, I'm saying that as a center back, that's where we want the game to go.
It's like baseball. I've always thought that too. You always go in favor.
Tie goes to the runner. Tie goes to the runner. But
exactly.
So they're going to feel hard done by. And obviously, the Women's Champions League final, I thought that wasn't a penalty either. So both Chelsea clubs getting stung this weekend with regard to VAR going against them. But to your point, Luis, games aren't usually won or lost on one particular play, right? There's more to it than that, and you create your own luck. And that urgency that Chelsea had pretty late, committing no more numbers forward, making those subs to bring on some more attacking players probably should have happened sooner. I thought he probably stuck with Timo Werner a little longer than he should have. Pulisic should have got out there quicker. If you knew you were going to get a lot of crosses. I remember I was watching the game thinking, why isn't Havertz on? Why isn't Giroud on? Why aren't your big guys on? I mean,
well, Tammy Abraham, right? The tournament's high scorer for Chelsea, and again, not even in the squad. I mean, just the point about a natural number 9.
Yeah, it just once you went down, it was clear that Leicester were going to put everybody behind the ball. Then you knew your space was going to be out wide, and at that point, you're going to be whipping balls in. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes I feel like Chelsea's trying to dance a lot of things in and try to score that perfect goal. Sometimes you just need to whip it in the box and hope for the best, right? And you need to get guys that are in that. And that was very clear after they scored. That was going to be the strategy for Leicester. Was can they hold on? So I was pretty disappointed. It took him a while to react to that as a manager, and hoping that his guys, and Timo Werner in particular, could solve that problem, and they couldn't. So it's really interesting. And now I think about Chelsea, and it makes me think about their 2007-2008 season. I'm going to remind everybody what happened there. They got second in the league.
Yep.
They got runners up in the League Cup. They got runners up in the Community Shield, and they got runners up in the Champions League. They were the nearly team, and I see a lot of Chelsea fans referencing this 2008 season because it's starting to feel like that again, that they're going to just be this runners-up team. And even though they have all this potential and everybody can see it, they're not there yet. And it also reminds me of the famous Frank Lampard quote before he got fired: "My team isn't ready yet to win trophies." I'm paraphrasing him, but he basically said this: they're not good enough yet or mentally strong enough yet to win trophies. And that could still prove to be true. That would be super funny for Frank Lampard. Kind of undermining Tuchel and kind of knowing that these guys just couldn't, they're good to get there, but do they have enough to actually win anything of significance?
Can I say one thing on the end of that?
Yeah.
The only flip side I would say to that is we saw Liverpool make progress until Liverpool became Liverpool, right? And there was this belief in the system around, at one point, Brendan Rodgers' record was better than Jurgen Klopp's, and people were saying, hey, it's the same, this is cyclical. And they're saying, no, we're actually heading somewhere towards something. You have to believe in this project. And then it's now led to where Liverpool are today. And so, I'm hoping that that's the lens of which you could see Chelsea if they were to fall short, but it just seems like they're so close. And I also want to give a shout out to Kasper Schmeichel, who had a couple fantastic saves. Also, it's against the rules to have your starter play in an FA Cup final. Everybody knows that's the backups role. That's why Man City aren't in it. That's the rule, guys.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Kasper Schmeichel deserves it. And Leicester City, what a narrative for them. I feel like their movie deserves 3 parts. The first part, obviously, avoiding relegation and winning the Premier League, the second part going through all the tragedy that they went through. And now look at this, an FA Cup as well. And Brendan Rodgers, by the way, will finish on this. To me, the most underrated manager in Europe. Like, hands, I just think he deserves so much more credit and mention, regardless of the FA Cup win. He's a very good manager.
But Luis, you have to win something, right? I mean, I think if you want to get that respect as a manager, everybody can see he's a terrific manager, and all of his players, for the most part, think he's very good, and they learned a lot. And yes, he won in Scotland with a very dominant Celtic team, but this was the one, I think, now, to your point. Like, he finally won something. He proved he could get to the top. And I think now we'll start to see that respect. I'm curious. I mean, he might get another crack at no disrespect to Leicester, but one of the maybe traditional Big Six.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. All right, listen, let's keep going here. I want to talk La Liga. My God, nobody wants this. And then suddenly it just was going back and forth. And just, as we are speaking, obviously, everybody should know, Atletico Madrid came back from behind a late goal by Luis Suarez to beat Osasuna. Amazing. Real Madrid, as well, even though it looked like they temporarily were top of the table, and then Atletico Madrid got their job done. Barcelona lose to Celta Vigo. Lenglet got sent off. So this is Atletico Madrid's title to win it and to lose it. Like, it's in their hands. Heath, Pearce, thoughts on La Liga for a sec?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of the year I was wondering if we were going to get the Luis Suarez, Barcelona Luis Suarez. And he's still scored, quite a bit of goals this year, but you almost expect him in the way that Griezmann took over when he was at Atletico all that time. You expect somebody to be like, okay, I'm going to come in and take it over. But this is the biggest goal of the year, right? To score, I think it was the 88th or later minute goal to wrap that up for them, which is, really late. I mean, you're talking about the end of your season there, and to come through on that, I think is clutch. And so for La Liga, I was convinced 3 weeks ago that there's no way Atletico can pull this off. They had too much going on. It just seemed like they were allowing these giants called Real Madrid and Barcelona to linger. And we were talking about how Koeman, same sort of thing. Even though he's been able to get to win the Copa del Rey this year, was sort of trending towards, oh man, this might all fall off. And for Barcelona, again, who were given the gift of saying this is in your hands, they've dropped this back in Atletico's hands, and now Barcelona are out of that, and it's up to them. I believe their last. Who's the last match that they have?
Valladolid.
Yeah, I mean,
Valladolid. Yeah, just to catch everybody, they're getting relegated. And Atleti's played them 4 times of the last 2 seasons and haven't given up a goal. So it really is in Atleti's hands in so many different ways. I think it's so ironic, though, that the day that Barcelona get knocked out of contention for winning La Liga, it's Luis Suarez that scores the winner for Atleti.
Absolutely.
To potentially win it. I mean, talk about writing scripts. I mean, every single league has some of these dramatic narratives. And this one is really special because Barcelona needed those goals. And for all those Barcelona fans that are out there and are frustrated and probably don't even want to listen to any type of criticism to their team, or actually want as much as possible because they're frustrated too, where you guys struggled this season, especially in the last couple of weeks, was you Granada really stood out, and today as well. You had chances to put games away. Even Leo Messi found himself in great spots. A goalkeeper would make a great save. Messi would just miss wide. There'd be some heroic defending to block the shot. And when you didn't put those teams away and you let those teams hang around, that's really what I think was the difference. And if we jump over to the Real Madrid game, Karim Benzema, by the way, was offside, and he definitely impedes with Nacho, the ball hitting Nacho's knee. That's why Nacho didn't even know anything about it. Hits Nacho's knee and goes in, and that's how they won today. But for whatever reason, they ruled in favor of somehow Karim Benzema not getting. That's crazy to me. So I'm not into conspiracy theories or whatever. Well, it's a little sketchy. So it does come down to the last weekend in La Liga, and if Atleti, I guess they could get a draw. They're up by 2 points, but I don't know about the goal difference. They're plus 41. So Real Madrid would have to win to get good and get a draw, but Madrid would have to win by 4 goals.
Well, and there's the head-to-head as well in La Liga, remember? So,
that's right.
So that is the most important thing. So really, Atleti, one thing is for sure, Atletico Madrid the title's in their hands.
They can't lose.
Yeah, absolutely. They just have to better Real Madrid's score and result, and La Liga is theirs. All right, I want to move on here because Serie A as well is very interesting. Juventus got a win over Inter Milan. That was a crazy game. We nearly called it, Jimmy, with that draw, high-scoring draw, but
it should have been. That penalty, that last one was soft.
Absolutely. But this weekend also confirmed Atalanta making the Champions League once again. And this is, again, another story, by the way, that people need to remember. This is not a squad with all the money in the world. They're not a super league, he says in bunny quotes. This is a team that is a working class team. And the fact that they're in the Champions League once again is kind of amazing. But what are your thoughts on Serie A, Jimmy, and what's going on? Inter Milan top, obviously Scudetto, but they lost. Doesn't matter. They're still Scudetto champions. Atalanta second. Napoli third, 76 points. Milan, same points as well. And Juventus fifth, just behind with 75.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Atalanta play, the 4-3 game they had against Genoa pretty much sums them up. The first 20 minutes, unbelievable. They're up 3-0, and then they give up a goal, and then it's a little dicey. They make it 4-1. They give up 2 late goals, and it gets really dicey, and they end up winning 4-3. I mean, that is the roller coaster that is Atalanta, but they never disappoint. They're never boring, and I really appreciate what Gasperini, the manager, has done. I think he's one of the best managers in the world, and I think people know it deep down, but I don't think he's ever going to leave. He created and helped develop this project at Atalanta. He wants to see it through. Juve, Cristiano Ronaldo scored yet again his 29th goal in Serie A. The guy is an absolute animal. And that last one, the penalty, he wasn't on the field. John Square, also known as Juan Cuadrado, scored a brace, but the first one was a deflection. Got the one. He set up the penalty. He took it. I just thought it was a bit harsh there at the end. I thought the referees were doing a favor to Juve in some capacity, kind of like maybe La Liga referees were kind of doing a favor to Real Madrid. Good game overall, 3-2, very exciting. Roma took down Lazio, by the way. That was a big win. I just want to say briefly, Fonseca played a back four in that one, and they looked fantastic. And it makes me wonder if they had played a black back four a little bit more, how much better they would have been. And maybe Fonseca could have still had a job, even though I'm kind of excited to see how Mourinho does.
Well, Mourinho's taking notes of that one. Oh, back four.
100%. And then Napoli got a soft penalty too to get them started to beat Fiorentina. There's a lot of soft penalties being thrown around here at the end of the season. And they got a massive win. So it's crazy. It is crazy right now in Serie A. Juventus, in fifth, 1 point behind both Milan and Napoli. And Milan, big draw with Cagliari. So it's going to come down to the last weekend for the top four. And I mean, that's why we like to be fans, to see how this all unfolds, especially when I'm a neutral and I don't have any teams in the race.
Exactly. Once again, another league where the final weekend will be the decider. I want to jump to the Bundesliga and give the mic to Heath. Let's talk about the Bundesliga for a second. Heath Pearce, Borussia Dortmund, Champions League, Erling Haaland, maybe he stays. Robert Lewandowski equaling the great Gerd Müller. And obviously you would think that he would pass it maybe. Pretty amazing from both angles. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about Bundesliga.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out real quick on Serie A, Atalanta play AC Milan at home in the last game of the season.
Ooh, baby.
And so there is implications there for just Champions League in general. One of them are going to cough up. They probably end up just going like, hey, like maybe we should draw, or we'll figure this out. We'll do
you mean they might CONMEBOL it?
Yeah. Hey, let's just make sure we all have a good time, like as long as we're all having fun, this is fine. And then Juventus will find a way, obviously, to sneak into that last spot, which is not currently in their hands. But yeah, for the Bundesliga, really interesting stuff, because Dortmund finish, Champions League. I think this is a gigantic failure from Eintracht Frankfurt, who for most of the season had the least amount of losses and have just sort of fallen apart here at the end. And now to lose to an awful Schalke, a Schalke who has Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, as well as Matthew Hoppe, who's American, put up
4-3, the result that was, right?
Yeah, put up 4 on them, already relegated, and they were relegated like 3 months ago. This is one of those, and again, that's a dangerous thing because all bets are off when these teams play. They just sort of, there's something that can happen to you. But for Eintracht Frankfurt to fall out of there, and then Wolfsburg to be able to get to end on a point today after going up 2-1 against RB Leipzig is hugely important. And then again, Maximilian Philippe, who people are saying should be in the national team every time, former Dortmund player. I'm assuming Jimmy's wearing a Maximilian Philippe shirt right now.
Well, 100%.
Because of his goals. He had 2 today that's helping Wolfsburg stay in that top four and finish in a Champions League spot. So yeah, really crazy stuff to see Frankfurt fall out and then now Leverkusen be the two teams that are going to fall into Europa League.
Yeah. Jimmy, is Erling Haaland staying in Borussia Dortmund, you think?
Oh, this is going to be a crazy summer. I still think that funds overall are going to be a little interesting. I only think there's a handful of teams that can afford him and his wages, not only the transfer fee, but his wages. We'll see what they can end up coughing up. You know, Man City and Pep have already said, we can't do it. I think that's all smoke and mirrors. But I don't know. It's really going to come down to Erling Haaland. Jadon Sancho, I thought, was fantastic as well. In the last couple of weeks, last month or two, he's been ridiculous. And he could be another target for a lot of different teams as well. So I don't know. It's really interesting times. But I think qualifying for the Champions League puts them in a spot where, hey guys, just do one more season. Let's just do one more season, then we can go. Then we can party afterwards. So I think that really opened up the conversation to the possibility of staying and makes it a lot more enticing for those two guys. I did want to give a shout out to Robert Lewandowski, who did score. I told everybody he's going to score first. He scored first on a penalty. He ties Gerd Muller's all-time record. He's got one more game to do it against Augsburg, and we'll see. Augsburg just beat Werder Bremen to stay up. So they're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves. I think Lewandowski is going to do it, but I don't want to get ahead of myself because we have the preview show later in the week.
Yeah, so we got to be careful. But I agree. I think I think he'll do it. By the way, it's all just hitting off in Europe because Liga as well. Lille tied Saint-Etienne 0-0. PSG won 4-0. 4-0 against who was it? Oh, Rennes. No.
Reims.
Yeah, it was Reims. Yeah, that's right. Reims. Oh, Je suis désolé.
It could be Reims. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they won 4-0, and that means Lille is only leading the league by a point heading into the final match day. How many monitors are we going to need in this final day, Heath? I don't know. We're going to need about 5, I think. I'm assuming if you add the 2 points they would have had, they would have been up 3. Still probably would have gone down to the final day because Paris Saint-Germain has crazy goal difference. And I think, what is it, head-to-head first? And maybe they could have won it on today. I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that. Well, the thing is, tying against Saint-Etienne from Lille's perspective does not help them because I think it adds pressure to the fact that now they really have to, make sure that they better PSG's result. They only lead by a point. They really have to win because if they draw, that PSG is going to take that. They could have been on a draw
on their final day, for sure. And now they need to win. And I don't have the matches in front of me. Actually, I do. Let's see here. They've got Lille plays Angers, away from home, and then PSG played Brest away from home. All games obviously starting at the same time. But yeah, it's all on Lille. I don't think Lille's going to lose this. They've just got this kind of swag to them right now that I feel like this is the kind of game where if you look at Angers, who are middle of the table, just below the middle of the table, I see them just running this team because it's I don't see it being a 1-0 to grind that out.
I do want to mention though that back in January, Angers beat Lille away from home 2-1. So there is a bit of a history, and maybe there's some revenge factor there.
I got to tell you, I think PSG's doing this.
No, don't do this to us.
No, I know. I just feel
that in the air.
You literally said that Lille are walking around with this swag. I feel that swag kind of expired a week and a half ago. I think now they're walking on very thin glass. Like they're like, we're leading the table, don't mess anything up. I don't want them to. I would love to see Lille win this, but I don't know. This not being able to get anything out of this game against Saint-Etienne makes it a little bit difficult, a little bit hard. All right, let's play a fun game.
Wait. Can I jump in really quick about Liga? Just because I have a friend that supports Nantes, and Nantes was left for dead in the relegation zone. They've won 4 straight games. Okay, they're in 18th, last relegation spot on 40 points.
Yeah.
Lorient 41 points, Brest 41 points, Strasbourg 41 points, Bordeaux 42 points. Reims 42 points.
Unbelievable.
That is ridiculous, by the way.
That's amazing.
They've won 4 straight to put themselves in that position, very similar to the Cagliari's run in Serie A. It's funny when teams get their backs against the wall, how they end up fighting out and when they get that run started. There's so many games in France to watch, but okay, let's play your game. I want to play.
No. I do want to say, Luis, before you get there, I want to point out that Lille beat Nice In the last couple of weeks, they beat Lyon. They beat PSG in the last.
Heath, I'm not a Lille fan.
Listen,
I'm not a Lille. No, I'm not a Lille hater.
Stop putting this in the air, okay? You stop putting this in the air, and then you go back to the French Cup round of 16, and you can see that Lille got
actually
crushed by
PSG. I think you want me to put this in the air because I've been wrong really recently a lot. So if I say Lille's going to lose, they're going to win. So it's all right. It's all about the George Costanza do the opposite. I think that's what's going to happen.
I'm just thinking about Timo Weah and the fact that like,
I know.
I'm
the same.
Jonathan David, I want him to get that trophy.
I know.
I know you are. But what about poor Neymar? He never gets anything.
That's true. But he's not there's only one Burak Yilmaz, so there's
that is true. That is
only
true.
One Burak Yilmaz.
That's
all right, let's all right, let's play a fun game here. I'm going to just quickly, you got to give me like a quick instinctive answer. Who's going to win either a league or I might say, or it's a yes or no answer. Okay. Real quick. Okay. Jimmy, I'll go with you first. All right.
Dang it. Okay.
All right. Juventus, are they getting Champions League? Quick, Jimmy.
No.
Heath, are you ready?
Yeah.
Same question.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Both of you feeling okay. Ready? Heath, for you. Atletico, are they winning La Liga?
Yes.
Jimmy.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Liga. Jimmy, PSG or Lille?
Lille.
Heath, I know your answer.
Lille for the win. FTW.
All right. Premier League. Jimmy, Liverpool, are they getting Champions League?
I kind of want to see it. Yes.
Heath.
Yes, I hope so. Yes.
I feel like I'm voting. See, when you go quick, you always think with your heart first and not your head.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like it's what your heart actually feels as opposed to anything else. But you said I hope so, Heath.
Well, ask me if Eintracht Frankfurt are going to make the Champions League. I'll tell you no. I know the math on that one. That's a clear no.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, listen. This was it. I want your final thoughts, everybody. Heath, give me your final thoughts from this crazy weekend and what's ahead.
Yeah, Chicharito is the best striker in the history.
Here we go.
He is Mexico's Chris Wondolowski.
You get 50% off your local. Yeah, he scored again. He scored again on Sunday against Austin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He did score again in a very Chicharito type goal. Like there is a, when people go like, he's got a type. Like his type of goal is the same type of goal. And somehow he just had, like, he scores so many goals where it hits the goalkeeper's hand first and then goes in the goal. That there is something to that though, right?
There's an art to it. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's an art to it of just like the timing, the feeling, and like where to be and when. I just wanted to point out that he's continuing to score. I think he's got 7 maybe right now.
Wow. No, good. Listen, there is nobody happier than me than what Chicharito's doing.
He's got 400% more goals than he scored last year.
400%. By the way, LA Galaxy second in the Western Conference to Seattle Sounders as well. So that's good. Jimmy, final thoughts.
Yeah. So as a former Sporting Kansas City player, I just wish we could play the Vancouver Whitecaps every single week.
What was the score in that?
3-0 to SKC. Also, I don't think Yop Sam's going to last too long at FC Cincinnati in their home debut at this beautiful new stadium.
What's the score right?
They're down 2-0 at half to Inter Miami, who have their own struggles. So, yeah, I don't know if they need an awesome center back that used to play that might be a little more charming. I'm available. Just throwing that out there.
Well, let's do it. And it was their opening. The stadium is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Come on, Yapstam, get it together. Well, my final thought is the EFL Championship, the playoffs. They begin tomorrow. Bournemouth against Brentford. And Barnsley, I know you two want to talk about Barnsley, against Swansea. This is going to be a good playoff series, of course. And if you don't know, this is the most exciting football in England right now. To be honest with you, it's just ridiculous. I'm excited. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I'll jump in and say that I think the championship is probably the hardest league to win in the world. I just think they play so many games. And then if you have a great season, you might still have to go into a playoff and try to get up to the Premier League. And that's a grind as well. But it's incredibly difficult to win this league. And so fair play to the 2 teams that are already going up. And then obviously best of luck to the ones that are competing for that last spot.
Amen. Heath?
Even more so on that, they play so many games, but there's such a disparity from top to bottom in the championship. In quality, right? You have the elevator teams from the Premier League. You have other teams that are like on year 2 or year 3 of those parachute payments where it's like it's now or never. And then you spread that out over a season. Oddly, every single year, though, there are a couple teams that absolutely dominate the championship. And you can't believe that they play this many games and this often. They played 3 games a week, every week for the whole season. And you'll see them go on these crazy runs of form where they're sitting on insane amounts of points. But I agree with Jimmy there. It's the hardest league to win.
Absolutely. And listen, you know what's funny is if you dominate in the championship and you're the one that goes up to the Premier League, it's not always the case that you're the best out of those newly promoted teams that does well in the Premier League. It's a really interesting narrative that they have to like elevate themselves from once they leave the championship. All right, the final quick, instinctive, quick answer. All right,
I love this.
I'll give you
final thoughts.
the last one. There's not even a thought. Just tell me. All right, listen. All right, Jimmy. Bournemouth, Brentford, Barnsley, Swansea. Who's the third one that's going to the Premier League?
I'm going to go Barnsley.
Of course you are. Heath.
I'm going to go Barnsley. Aren't Brentford and Barnsley both doing the Billy Bean thing? You know, the Moneyball type of idea.
Yeah, but don't call Brentford the Moneyball team. They like to think they're much more than that.
Yeah.
I'm going with Brentford. I think they're very good and they deserve to finally come up. But anyway, make sure that you check it out. Jimmy, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you guys. Always a pleasure.
Heath, thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank Jimmy Conrad and Heath Pearce for joining me today. Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts, listen to us, and follow us on Spotify, Stitcher. Watch us on YouTube. We're also on CBSSports.com and your CBS Sports app. Make sure that you have a great beginning to your week.